Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen. And do you like that, Buffalo Bills?
Stick to the script.
Come on, Mike. I practiced that all night. All right, Buffalo Bills. Guys, I need to ask you, all right, as a football fan, would you attend, not play in, but attend a game like this? And I have got here an interesting little time lapse that I'm going to throw up if you, Scott, would be so kind.
Well, don't throw up.
Well, is to share what I'm sharing here. All right, here we go. This is at Highmark Stadium in Buffalo, New York. This past weekend of them preparing the game to get ready. Obviously, it was a super snowy game. We can talk about the game in a second here and like actually what happened on the football field. But just for you guys, like, Scott, what do you think? Would you want to attend a game like this?
Dude, I would want to do anything to play in a game like this. Attend? You're really going to have to convince me. I'm going to have to be sitting underneath. They got, especially in Buffalo, they have those, you see that red light under there. I'm pretty sure those are heat lamps. So I'd have to be sitting in that area. I get the love to go do this, but boy, I don't think I have it in my blood to go sit there for 4 hours in the freezing cold. That's just not my cup of tea.
Okay, but dude, you're a Cleveland Browns fan, and the Browns just had what they're calling the Snow Globe game last week against this, or 2 weeks ago against the Steelers. Would you go to that?
Yeah, because it's the Browns. But at the same time, dude, I have a real problem with my little fingies, and they get real cold real quick. So it's going to be a tough 4 hours. I mean, I don't know. It's really a toss up for me. It has to come down to the matchup and the point of the season, which obviously it's later in the season if it's snowing, but at the same time, it's got to be like, oh, we're vying for a playoff game or we're in a playoff game for me to really pull the trigger on this. I like to sit and watch games in the comfort of my own home. Call me a homesteader again, Mikey, but that's just me, man.
Homesteader, churning his own butter, weird mustache, staying home to watch games. There you go, Scott, staying on brand. I'm with you, dude. I'm with you on this. I think playing in the snow like this is incredibly fun and a absolutely pure and joyful football experience as a player. But as a fan, like I would go to one of these if, maybe one of my brothers was playing or a close friend. But I don't know. Maybe you give me in a press box, give me in the suite or something, like a luxury experience. But these Buffalo Bill fans are all about it. You see these guys like showing up, no shirts. The fans come and shovel the snow out of the stadium and like prepare the stadium, because unlike some of the other northern stadiums, they don't have field heating system. So they have to come in and manually do everything. And then fans also come in and shovel the snow away for the stadium.
How much are those tickets? Forget the nosebleeds. I bought this ticket. I have to go work for them the day before the game.
It is the labor special package ticket.
Dude, that would actually be great if you got a discount if you went and shoveled the snow for them. Like you got a discount on that ticket and you got to move up a little bit. That would be enticing. I might consider that.
Yeah, now that's a good deal. But for these people in Buffalo, all right, like not to disrespect the locals of Buffalo too much, but what else do they have going on in Buffalo, New York? One of the bottom 20 major cities in the United States for sure. So this is all they have. And then,
Nicholas?
I know it's a fellow Rust Belt-ish city like Cleveland, Scott. But what else do you have going on in Buffalo? And this is kind of just the pinnacle of things to do in Buffalo. If you're a Buffalo Bills fan, you're going to go there and you're going to shovel. They do. I thought previously that they did it for free, but apparently they do get paid an hourly wage. But it's something small. But in all seriousness, I do think that is a really, really cool thing, because sports teams, like our professional sports teams, are supposed to be kind of a pillar of our communities. And we talk about some of these cities, especially some of these cities that aren't so glamorous, where they really represent the culture here. And I think the Buffalo Bills represent the culture of Buffalo, New York really well, kind of gritty, blue collar, not so polished or glamorous. And the fans represent that well, the Bills Mafia, and they come and they are contributing and kind of being this gives them the opportunity to be a part of the organization. What do you think about that?
I think that's really patronizing. Can I say it that way?
Yeah, you can be part of the team. Just go shovel that snow real quick. It's a little brother assignment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm sorry. I am an older brother, and so I am used to just, you can help. You can help.
Yeah.
Here, help do
my-
this.
Yeah, you could come play with my toy that I broke 3 days ago. Yeah, of course. Dude, this is I don't know. I love and appreciate the fandom that the Bills fans and the Bills Mafia show each week, right? So like for them to go do this isn't necessarily surprising because they've been doing the crazy stuff for as long as I can remember. And I mean, dude, talk about like an organization. Like I always gripe about the Browns being garbage throughout my lifetime, which has been true. But talk about a fandom and fan base that has just been absolutely tortured in a way that's very difficult to put into words. Like you go to four straight Super Bowls, like, and you lose them all by like a field goal. Like, how torturous is that? So, I mean, like, there's almost this, I don't even know what the Scandinavian word is for this, but there definitely is one where it's like you find pleasure, like, in the pain and the difficulty or something like that. And, there's an element of endearing pain and suffering of the fandom. So, like, I love seeing this. Again, I don't know if I'd be choosing to go out there, even though I'm a big time Browns fan. It really would have to be a special game. And honestly, that's what I would want it to be, is like, I would choose to go to this game if it were like super meaningful and impactful to the season, to the organization. And then that could always be the one memory I have, right? As opposed to going to like one of these each and every year, which is like kind of what happens in Buffalo.
Yeah. Well, Scott, I mean, here, listen, I didn't mean to be patronizing to people. Okay. It just comes naturally to me. I didn't mean to do it. It's just kind of my
You got that right.
Mike, settle down. But to the game, I mean, the Bills actually, who are having a great season, Josh Allen is absolutely dominating here.
Oh,
Check it out. This is a funny tweet. Oh, look, I'm Josh Allen. I have a rocket arm. I run over the best athletes in the world. I make insane plays every week. I'm marrying Haley Steinfeld. I'm the king of my city. Shout out to, so Josh Allen obviously throws this touchdown pass and scores this touchdown pass. He got credited obviously for both, like touchdown completion and touchdown throw on this. Pretty iconic. We're probably going to get copyrighted for showing this, but I think it's worth it right here. What do you think of Josh Allen, man? Do you, he and we're going to touch on this, I think, a little bit, but right now he is at the top of the MVP odds.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, dude, his performance this year is just unbelievable. And I know he's been having a lot of these over his career, especially the past, like, call it 3-4 years. He's just on another level, playing wise, because he does everything. He's very similar to Lamar in that sense, that he can beat you with his legs, beat you with his arm, seemingly beat you with his hands now, I guess, and catching stuff and diving into the end zone. So it's like he's a pure football player, and you gotta love having one of these guys behind center and doing this, because like you look across the board, and we're talking about Travis Hunter, which we'll touch on a little bit later in the show, but like how he's just like, he's a pure football player playing both sides of the ball. I'm pretty sure he's playing special teams as well, so all three phases, which is nuts. You got Andy Alfieri up at Oregon State doing the same, and Andy. On top of that, you got like Taysom Hill in the NFL, and it's pretty crazy to see a guy that has won the pay and the pedigree of Josh Allen kind of risking it all and doing it all for his team, just because he wills and wants it so badly, for the organization to win and finally win, because they've been this close for so long. And it's just, you got Pat Mahomes and everybody else that just keeps chopping them down. So like, I love seeing this play out of a quarterback.
What do you think of this take right here from the legendary or infamous Skip Bayless? Scott, will you pop this up? I don't enjoy watching snow games. I'm a purist and I want to see pure, sure-footed conditions so great players can operate at their greatest without having to worry about slipping and sliding. I don't find it amusing. I find it distracting and disqualifying. Just me. I understand where he's coming from on this. And part of me agrees to it, because it is, we want to see the best athletes in the world compete in optimal conditions. However, football is a nitty-gritty sport. And as this is part of the NFL season. It's like, we see teams that are great at the start of the season, Washington Commanders, for example, or teams that are really, really good in optimal conditions, indoor, or like the Miami Dolphins playing in sunny weather. But when it comes down to it and things are not ideal conditions, that is so important in the NFL. And this is where it kind of separates the men from the boys. Like when things aren't going well, when it's cold, when it's grimy and it's not perfect conditions out there, can you still get the job done? So I'm going to have to disagree here with Skip Bayless. I think it's an important part of the NFL. This isn't the NBA, okay? Our guys aren't soft playing indoors. What do you think?
No, I look, Skip, dude, this is just, he's missing it here. Like Purist, what are you talking about? If you were a Purist, this is what you would absolutely love about the game of football. Like battling the elements is an absolute, like it's the great equalizer, right, for the game. And everybody has to go into those environments and perform at their top level. Like putting them in a vacuum is essentially what he's saying here. He loves teams in domes and playing what is essentially a vacuum, to where it's just like, oh, the better offense wins or the better defense wins, and then special teams will do what they do. I totally disagree with this. That's the beauty of the game of football, is having this. And if you were really a purist, you would embrace that fourth element of the game, which is the environment and the weather and everything that goes into it, because that's essentially the third opponent or the third party in the entire thing. So I don't know. It bothers me to see. Not that Skip has never not bothered me, but like, dude, this is just, I think he's missing the mark here. The Purist comment, I know what he's trying to say. I know what he's trying to say, but he's missing it.
Dude, I don't know. I feel like he oftentimes just wants to be controversial like that. And it's just like, just, all right.
What does he expect? Games get snowed out like we're playing baseball?
Yeah. What do you want to do? What do you want? Yeah.
See, no, also, what bothers me here is he was like, "Oh, it's not amusing. Nothing about this is amusing. It's entertaining. Like I'm not sitting here laughing at the game. I'm like actually glued to the screen because, dude, I don't know what's going to happen in the next play. Like I don't know. Okay, somebody breaks a 10-yard run. That doesn't mean that they're going to score or they're going to get that first down, because a defender could come in and hawk the ball because it's so slippery. And like there's an element of surprise that is so ingrained in games like this that he's just like, I don't see any of this funny. This actually heightens my interest.
What a weird way to describe football. Or like amusing? That amuses me. That's just a strange adjective to use. Just all right, Skip. So there's that. I don't really want to talk too much about actually what happened on the field, because I'm a little bit sad for the 49ers getting absolutely stomped.
Dude,
not good. But
yeah,
dude, I don't even want to. It's next year, baby. Let's see how
handle the snow.
Okay. It's a California team, and it's just a little bit too cold. But this is cool. Scott, will you throw this up, please? After the game, and this is one of the beautiful things about football here. Brock Purdy was one of several 49ers players who joined the Bills in the post-game prayer. This is a cool thing to see, of these guys coming in on opposite teams, right? They just battled it out in a very violent game and very suboptimal conditions here, going at it for 60 minutes. But then afterward, they come together in a show of brotherhood and their faith. And I think this is a really special thing here. It's more than a game. And I like seeing guys come together like this. And there's another situation a little bit later that we'll touch on that happened in college. But Scott, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, no, I love seeing this at the end of the game, especially after a weekend of, just a crazy weekend in football at all levels. Like this is the way to cap it off, and just realizing like, hey, look, these are grown men competing against one another. You're going to have heightened emotions for sure. And then you're going to have people who step outside of just heightened emotions. You're going to have people who are just being dumbasses, for a lack of a better term. So I don't know, seeing this to cap off the weekend is really, really a great sight. And like, also as you're pointing to, like the message of this is far more than a game. Like we're like, yes, you can compete on the field, but at the end of the day, like you are a brotherhood. You are those guys who are out there competing at the highest level, all trying to succeed on your own team, and then individually. So like recognizing that there's something even above that is incredible. So I love seeing this. Kudos to the team, both teams who came out and did this.
It's so good seeing like people like this at the top of their game, elite athletes humbling themselves to something bigger, and just the message it sends to viewers and kids.
Mike, I was going to swear that you would hate seeing guys from opposing teams come together in prayer.
Really? No, I'm pro that. That's my one show today.
No, there you go. Nice, Mike. That's good. No, this is something. Yeah, this is special about football. This is special about, the combination of football and faith and brotherhood and these guys, it's being a part of something bigger than themselves. So even, shout out to Brock Purdy. They just got smacked. They played terribly. They're on the road, probably not feeling very good, but then being able to like, hey, there's more important things in life than a football game. And so this is a cool thing to see. Something that is not so cool to see: the Houston Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars playing this weekend. And this was going crazy on social media. A lot of people having different takes, and I'm going to throw it up right here. Azeez Al-Shaair, hold on here, with a late hit on Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence obviously getting knocked out for a moment, his arm getting locked up here, and then in a brawl ensues of Jacksonville Jaguar players coming in to defend their quarterback, just immediately hitting Al-Shaair, and it gets just out of control, chaotic. Shaair ended up getting ejected, and the fans of Jacksonville were throwing garbage on him as he was escorted out of the stadium. I just got to say off the bat here, first of all, like we can talk about the hit a little bit.
Yeah.
I love what the Jacksonville Jaguars teammates are doing here. And I don't know who the first one who came in was. Maybe it was Ingram, who just laid out Shaair right after he hit Trevor Lawrence, just coming in like, hey, don't touch my quarterback. We don't play for that shit. And immediately having his guys back for what is a pretty cheap shot right here. I mean, there's some people, I'm a defensive guy and I'm always going to skew towards defense and, let's play tough football here. This is a bullshit hit, especially in the rules that we're playing in right here. But I like seeing the teammates come to defend. What are your thoughts on this?
I'm quite surprised that you took the take that, okay, even as a defensive hit, this is bullshit. Like, because it truly is. The guy's giving himself up. At the same time, like you got people that are coming out. I've been seeing a couple arguments that it's just like, oh, this is just another element to the game that's changed so much, and like it's a product of football in general, and just the violent nature of the sport, and how are you going to handicap defensive players more? So it's just like, I don't know, that argument kind of falls flat to me because in this situation, it's very clear that Trevor and most quarterbacks, to be quite honest with you, are giving themselves up in situations like this when they're in the open field and they're coming as a one-on-one tackler and runner. So it's like all of that argumentation just falls flat to me because he's clearly going down, and for you to launch yourself at the trajectory that you were in a low angle is just like, dude, you're going for his head. We all know it, and it's like, yeah, he may not have wanted that to happen to Trevor and knocking him out, but he still made the physical motion and put himself out there to take him out. So it's like, I don't know, this is pretty much a bullshit play,
dude.
My brain just broke right there,
bro. What did you just? You get hit by Shaair? He got you a little brain damage, dude. Yeah. This dude is dirty as hell. He's one of the dirtiest players in the league, and he's notorious for and I was looking just now to try and pull up. He's horrible.
He's known for
other plays, and he previously, a couple of years ago, he went after Tom Brady, and I'll try and find it here in a second. Grabbing Tom Brady's throat. There are a few other plays from earlier this year, from plays when he was on other squads, because I think he was on the 49ers, and then I think maybe the Titans for a year. This dude is dirty as hell. He seems like this is not the type of dude that you want in the NFL, and I hope that there's a big ass penalty for him, because this is not his first offense. He came in, he had a brace on his arm, and he came in like with that. Of course, he probably he doesn't want to concuss or knock out Trevor Lawrence, but he knows what the hell he's doing. When you're like a defensive guy like that, I've been in that exact position when you know that the quarterback is about to slide or in the process of sliding, and you have the ability to kind of control your body right there. And there's a lot of situations where I would be on the defender's side in this, but this is not one of them, because this is clearly a malicious hit right there. And check this out here. I think this is a good tweet. This is a good take, this tweet, that it's bullshit that any Jaguars player gets ejected, fined, suspended, etc. for anything after what happened to Trevor Lawrence on that play. What are your thoughts on that? Because I'm like, the NFL has to come down and bring the hammer down on this to maintain some consistency. But what do you think?
Yeah, look, I would agree with you that I love the reaction of the Jaguars team and all the players that were on the field, and even those that stepped off the sideline, because they were coming out to protect a guy. What I hated to see is, like, even among that scuffle, like, Trevor actually got his head hit again because people were fighting next to him. So he's on the ground, just like fence post looking, and then he gets hit again. So, like, that's a problem. But I do love the way that they came to his defense. And, like, this is vastly different of a situation where people are like, oh, there's just brawls going on throughout football this weekend and everything. This is vastly different than what the flag planting scenarios were. Right. Like, this is coming to the defense of your guy, like your quarterback, who absolutely just took a cheap shot and is definitely going to suffer physically for this. So like seeing a guy defend what is essentially your family member for this season, and the team coming at it too, is just like, I support that wholeheartedly. I don't like, the NFL is going to have to fine people just because they have to, and they have to be consistent. But, I think every single one of those guys would gladly pay that fine. And I actually wouldn't be surprised if Trevor ended up footing that bill.
Yeah.
Because he supports his teammate, and he realizes that his teammates support him, even going through a tough season as they are and as he is. So, I totally support that.
This is one thing that, like, a positive thing that comes out of something like this is just, I'm sure, like, obviously the physical aspect of that sucks for Trevor Lawrence. And we of course wish him well in his recovery and everything with his injury. But I bet emotionally Trevor Lawrence feels pretty damn good right now after seeing how his teammates responded, like how his brothers reacted, and just with almost no care of consequence, or for their own situation, just did what they had to do to have his back. Dude, this Shire dude, the more I think about it, this dude is such a piece of shit. I like,
he's Vontaze perfect. Like,
he is Vontaze perfect,
very
dude.
Similar.
And this is terrible because, like, there's such a delicate conversation with football right now of, we're increasing the penalties on defensive players. They instituted the hip drop tackle illegal, or making that illegal this year. There's all this stuff here that's kind of borderline and on the fence. Yeah. And when a defensive player does bullshit like this, it is going to just continue to move the conversation more and more away, because this is not a clean play right here. This is not a borderline play. This is something that's so clear cut, a malicious targeting play. And it's just it gives a bad name to clean defensive players. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. This only furthers the degradation of call it the game at large, and the way in which, like, parameters and rules are being placed upon defense. So, like, he's actually doing his side of the ball a disservice in the long run by doing stuff like this. And ultimately, what I wanted to see, like, I want to get your take, just coming from especially a safety and outside backer position. Like, what do you think the difference is between something like this and, say, hitting a receiver crossing the field, where he's about to catch the ball and you're going for that hit as well? Like, how does that differ?
Well, first of all, I think that, like, quarterback, of course, is like, well, you don't like to say it, but quarterback is a protected position. We need our quarterbacks. You need the opposing team's like, everybody in the NFL needs quarterbacks to be healthy. Try watching football where you're playing backup quarterbacks against each other. We saw that with the Cowboys and the Giants. Brutal, unwatchable. We're not even going to talk about it. We want starting quarterbacks to be healthy. And so, first of all, there's that element of it. Also, when the quarterback is surrendering himself, sliding, and like, some people are making some argument, oh, he started to slide too late. Listen, I'm coming to you saying this shit as a guy who did get trucked by a quarterback who fake slid once, okay? And even with that embarrassment that I held and still hold, I am pro Trevor Lawrence in this situation. So that's another thing, is that he's giving himself up. And then, with wide receivers across the middle, it's just, that's part of the game, and that's fair game. And granted, we have now rules where you can't hit him in the head and everything, but it's a
little different when the ball's in the air, because you're playing, it's more just instinctual. And
see ball, get ball.
That's get ball. Whereas, like, what is the benefit here? Like, you kind of have to do that as a linebacker. You've got to break up the pass there, but the dude's going down anyway. There's no benefit except for getting an extra hit on his head.
Yeah. This one, man,
I'm fired up.
It's so tough, because, like, there are a lot. We've seen a bunch of situations in the NFL where it is really hard to tell whether or not the running quarterback, say it was a Josh Allen, like
right.
We don't necessarily know that Josh would have slid because he's been known to lower his shoulder. He's been known to try and juke people. He's been known to try and win with his feet. So like, I do commiserate with the defense to some respect in the sense that like you're between a rock and a hard place, right? And when you're talking about like, hey, this is my career, this is my livelihood, and I have to perform. If I decide, oh, okay, I don't want to take the penalty here, so I'm going to let up, and then all of a sudden he jukes me and or trucks me, and then gets the first down, which ultimately ends in a win for them. It's a very difficult decision and a business decision for that defensive player. Granted, I think this situation is different because he also has a history of doing stuff like this. So you have to take that into account. But I do feel for the defenders to a certain extent because honestly, it's like, dude, what do you want me to do these days?
This is why I think I get so upset about it, because there are good discussions to be had on hits, not exactly like this, but hits that are controversial. This is not one of them. This is just going to further the conversation and make it more difficult for defenders, clean defenders trying to play football. So we'll see what happens here, what the NFL does with Shair, with all of his, what's
the fine for targeting? 25,000 or something?
I don't even know.
I think it's got to be a sliding scale, because I think there's some subjectivity that goes into it, because there's already subjectivity as to whether or not somebody actually meant to do that or targeted. So I would put money on it that that the NFL is going to ratchet up the fine here for him. So
yes, did you take into account his previous ones? It should be pretty hefty.
He has priors.
He's got priors. He's got priors for sure. All right. So we wish the best to Trevor Lawrence. Yeah. And there's some other. So let's move on to a couple other games, or just what went on around the league this week. So Eagles beat Ravens. Justin Tucker, dude, sucks this year. I think he went 2 for 4. He missed 2 more field goals again. The Ravens they have to have a serious conversation about Justin Tucker.
Dude.
Yeah. No, Scott, you don't have to share that. I don't have anything on it yet.
Oh, my bad.
That's the old tweet.
We're just showing the old tweet.
Dude, then this is just so sad. Bengals lose again while Joe Burrow just plays fantastically. He's leading the NFL in passing yards and passing touchdowns, and his defense is just screwing him. And the Chiefs somehow the Chiefs escaped the Las Vegas Raiders. A little controversy with that.
The Chiefs always play just well enough to get the win. They just they're not going to try unless they have to in their game.
It's wild. They're what are they, 11-1 right now, and like 9 of their games are 1-score games.
They refuse to like blow out any teams or win handily.
Really nice of them, huh?
Yeah. Just giving other teams hope. That's what they're doing. They don't want to just steamroll to 3 in a row here. Ultimately, like, I don't know, this is talk about like between a rock and a hard place. I think this is one of those interesting things, because a lot of times, especially with the Chiefs, a lot of times you'll get that saying where it's like, oh, good teams know how to win when it's close, right? Or right down to the wire. So like they're figuring out ways to win even when they're not playing their best. And that's the sign of a really good team. But I also think that there's an element of like, hey, there are a lot of cracks in the armor here. And come January football, like all of those things get exposed horribly. So it's like, I don't really know what to make of the Chiefs right now, because they can go the rest of the season. They can go 16-1, right? And they look like a team that could easily lose in the first round.
Exactly.
Which is weird.
It's very, very confusing to get a grasp on what they are. Like, granted, they do have very experienced players and guys like Kelsey and Mahomes who know how to play in the playoffs and have proven themselves. But it's just it's weird that we feel so insecure about a team that's 11-1 and like we're just like, but aren't they? They're like bad, kind of.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift, she's a distraction. That's the whole thing.
Okay. All right. You know what? You want to have this conversation, Mike? Taylor Swift?
Yeah, we actually should.
It's just in all seriousness. No.
Oh, yeah. I forgot Nick's a big Taylor Swift. You went to her concert.
First concert I ever went to. 2006, maybe? Portland.
It's great. He made a sign and he's screaming, "I love you, Taylor."
No, Mike, I didn't have a sign.
You should have done what Travis did and put your phone number on it. That made it.
Okay,
that might have had her call you.
Well, Scott, you're looking like Travis right now with the mustache. So,
Hey, no, I'm taking this from Tom Selleck, not Travis Kelce.
okay, all right, good to know. But,
No, but
what?
dude, I gotta go back to your comment about the Bengals, and I think I'm looking at it here. They've had 5 losses where they've scored 30 or more points. That's unheard
their
of
defense
for an
is
NFL
horrible.
team. Their defense is so shite. It's so bad. Outside of Trey Hendrickson, like I highlighted last week, dude, they need to figure it out because Joe, this is literally a single guy cannot win a game of football, which is like the beautiful part of the game and also a terrible part of the game because you can be literally putting up Hall of Fame numbers every week and still not win.
Dude, it's crazy. That actually, I like that point that this is actually I think it's a beautiful part of the game. It's like you can have basically top 2 or arguably the best player at the most important position, not just in football, but in all of sports. And your team can still suck, which is a very interesting situation. Going back to the Ravens, Eagles looking really, really good, like at the top of the NFC. Back and forth between them and the Lions. Lions showed a little chink in the armor on Thanksgiving. So, right now, if I had to choose one that I feel like is playing better, I think I'm going to go with the Eagles. But Mike, I know you are very excited to speak about a particular Eagle. And I do have that right. Mikey just loves birds, so he's going to talk about Eagles. Eagles and Ravens. Mike?
Yes. Is that my cue? Eagles 21, Ravens 12. Fourth quarter, 6 minutes left. The Ravens are they're driving. They're trying to close the gap. All the buzz is about the Eagles' offense and Saquon's MVP stock rising. Their defense, they're feeling like a neglected second-born child. They want some love. Okay, so Ravens are driving to close the gap. 3rd and 11. Lamar Jackson dumps it off to the flat to Derrick Henry on a check down. Henry catches it, turns upfield with his 6'3", 250-pound frame, mind you. None other than the crafty, the sneaky athletic, as they label him, Cooper DeJean. He comes in a frame with a hit that will be used in tackling textbooks everywhere. A hit that will give hope to a generation of 6 foot, 200-pound tweener athletes like myself. A perfect pile drive technique on one of the most feared ball carriers in the league, King Henry. So, I have a picture. Okay, this is reminiscent of the movie 300 when Leonidas makes Xerxes, the god king, bleed. Okay, because of King Henry. So even a king can bleed. This is Derrick Henry. He's got his crown, and this is Cooper. That's a cape.
Nice.
Okay, and he's knocking the crown off of him. Okay, he's showing that King Henry can be put on his back. And that's pretty much it.
Cooper man coming in. I like your conclusion.
Why was it so hard to do that today? Gosh, I could not think. Sometimes it's really hard.
No, you got it. No, it's good. You got it, Mike.
Hard.
They can edit that together, can they?
Yeah, they'll figure that out. Don't worry.
I'll edit it. I can.
You want to know? You want to know what? You want to know? This is getting a lot of buzz on social media, and we did shout this boy out previously as being one of the 2 exciting whites with those T-shirts that they had, and giving guys like us the 6 foot, 195 pounds white guy, nothing incredibly special, 4'7", 40-yard dash type guys, giving us a little bit of hope here. This is impressive, yes. But it's not that impressive because, and I'm trying to take it away a little bit here. Derrick just caught the ball. It's not like he should hit him like this. Now, granted, it was good technique, very good technique, but let's not act like he absolutely obliterated Derrick Henry. It was a good tackle on a defenseless Derrick Henry who just got the ball and turned and looked.
Listen, it's about the symbolism. It's about what the message it sends. Okay. No one's ever seen Derrick Henry on his back. It doesn't matter the circumstance.
All right.
That's fair. That's fair.
Good point. Okay.
I would have to agree with Nick here though. It's like, one, we should applaud this because it's just form tackling. It's so pure. He wrapped up which you don't see all that often in this day and age in football. Like wrap up 2 arms, took the legs of a bigger dude, and he used his leverage to get underneath him and take him down. Granted, I do have to say, we rarely see Derrick this vulnerable. He had like, I don't know, maybe 2 steps to adjust, to catch the ball, adjust,
Right.
and then take the hit. Because usually when he gets going downhill, I don't know if this is going to be happening. But Mikey makes a good point. It's about the symbolism. It's about, hey, during a week of just chaos, bad hits by, which we just saw with Trevor Lawrence, like this is form tackling. This is what football is. So that's where we should be celebrating it.
You know what? Okay. I like that. Because I was feeling a little bit like, okay, this is good. Awesome. Really good hit. But why is it getting so much hype? But
yeah,
the symbolism is good. This is good, clean football. And it is very rare for us to see Derrick Henry in this state. Shout out to Cooper DeJean.
What do you think about my reference to 300?
That's really good.
That's
really
really
nice.
good.
Also, that's a good movie. We gotta watch that.
Yeah.
Mike, we should watch that over Christmas break when we get home.
Christmas
We're
movie.
done.
Yeah.
It's a good Christmas movie, just blood and violence and war, right? Merry Christmas. So happy birthday, Jesus.
Sorry, party sucks.
So we touched on this a little bit earlier because I have some emotions regarding the situation of the NFL MVP. Josh Allen is currently sitting at the favorite, best odds to win NFL MVP. Scott, let us give our 3 choices for NFL MVP right now at this point in the season. Who do we like? Who's in the conversation for you? What do you got?
Well, I am going to just shoot from the hip here because I didn't memorize the stats or anything like that leading into this show. So I'm going to go at the top. Like, I don't know. I was lauding Josh Allen at the beginning, and I have to do it again. Last night's performance was just cherry on top for what he's been doing for that organization without any stars to lean on, right? He's the only dude on that offense that you can point to and be like, oh, that's the superstar, right? He doesn't have Diggs anymore. He doesn't have Singletary in the backfield anymore. He's really working with a ragtag group of guys, young dudes who are just willing to put in the work, as Rust Belt teams do and like gritty steel town cities do. So like Josh Allen is just the face of that program. And I would say he's definitely up there as my number 1. Secondarily, I'm going to say it's pretty low hanging fruit, but what Saquon Barkley is doing this year is unbelievable. I mean, without him, I don't know where the Eagles would be. And obviously we've heard a bunch of stuff about Sirianni and just his antics and him being childish and so on and so forth. But like, dude, they have 2 losses on the season, I think, and that's it. And the reason that is because they've added a run game that is wildly formidable. And having A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith as well on the offensive side for Hurts to throw to. I mean, Saquon has opened up the game for them in a way that they've never really experienced. And I would say even during their Super Bowl run. So I would say I'm gonna cut out on the third people, but I think it's a 2-way race between those 2 guys. And it would be interesting to see actually a running back win for once, because this has essentially become a QB, the best QB sort of award, I think. Yeah. In the previous like decade. So like seeing a running back get burned like this and put up numbers like this would be pretty sweet to see get an MVP.
I think it's been 12 years since a non-quarterback won MVP. All right, Scott, here's you. It's a long time. It's a long time. That's half of Mikey's life. Right, Mike? How old are you?
Just a good half.
All right. I am going to just violently and aggressively push back on this Josh Allen narrative, okay?
Oh.
I get it, all right? That was an awesome game yesterday. Great. Really, really good. The Bills are in second place in the AFC. They've clinched playoff berth. Love that. And I actually really like Josh Allen. But let me just read off a couple stats here. He's currently 13th in the league in passing yards. He's 21st in the league in completion percentage. He's 6th in touchdown passes. That's like his best stat. And he's 10th in passer rating. Do these sound like the statistics of the player that is going to win NFL MVP? But he's currently the number 1 ranked highest odds to win NFL MVP. I'm absolutely baffled. And I feel like it's just because it's just for lack of another player standing out. It should be for sure. And I do agree with you on this. Should absolutely be the number one in the running for MVP. He's first in yards, first in yards per rush of real running back starters. He's first in yards per game. He's third in rushing touchdowns. And he is absolutely just changed that Eagles offense. So I'm with you there. Hear me out. Dark horse. Okay. Why does the MVP have to come from a team that's doing really, really well? Why can we not have a guy like Joe Burrow be the MVP? He's first in yards. He's first in touchdown passes, fourth in passer rating. He's only thrown 5 picks to his 30 touchdown passes. And he is single-handedly keeping that team afloat. I think they've only got 4 wins. And their defense is absolutely atrocious. Why can't we have a player on a bad team be in the conversation?
No, I think that's fair. Joe Burrow being up, but then you'd also have to throw in Lamar, right? Because they've lost, I think, 4 games because of Justin Tucker, 4 or 5 games because Justin Tucker can't kick to save his life this year. So like maybe talk about it there, but I think you're opening up a can of worms there. If yes, if you remove Burrow, they're probably not a 4-win team. They're probably a 1 or 2-win team right now. But if you remove Josh Allen from the Bills, what are they? That's a big question mark because they don't have the same sort of firepower. It's just, I think you get into like murky waters when you start considering guys who haven't performed and brought W's along with their stats, which is, it's tough to say because I love what Joe's doing and he's having a Hall of Fame year. But it's just, that's always been an indicator as to like, oh, okay, how good is your team because of your play?
That's true. That is a fair point. That's a fair point. I just have a positive bias towards Joe Burrow. I just feel bad for him, man. Like he's just trapped in Cincinnati in this shit organization, stuck in a long-term contract. They're one of the cheapest ownerships, cheapest organizations. Like one of these generational talent quarterbacks. Are we going to see go to waste? I know they got to the Super Bowl a few years ago, but they've been atrocious since then. So I'm just a little emotional on the Joe Burrow front, you know?
Dude, I hear you on that. Like talking about the organization and being one of the cheapest, I think they're one of the few, if not the only NFL organization that doesn't have a domed indoor practice facility.
Right.
If not,
Really?
or they may be building one. Yeah, dude, it's nuts. Either they just have one, just open one this year, or they're in the process of building it for next year. So
Dude, it's every single Division I college team has one of those.
Yeah, dude. Like it absolutely blows my mind that's the situation that they're in.
How much does a dome cost? $1 million? Just buy it.
Just a bubble. Like you can get one of those like inflatable ones and heat it up in the inside.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But I don't know. I gotta go back to that and like, because okay, I was poo-pooing on Skip Bayless's take, right? About like, oh, the game isn't played in a bubble and it's not played in a vacuum and it's all that kind of stuff. So like, also like I can shit on the organization of the Bengals for doing that, but also they're building toughness in their dudes that other organizations may not be. And that could, it hasn't panned out this way.
Where's that toughness on their defense, dude?
That's what I was going to say. It's like, it hasn't panned out. Theoretically, it would help. Yeah.
That's a good theory on paper, Scott. Not working in practicality, though. Maybe
it sounds like a lot of theories we've been pursuing these days.
Typical Yale-y. All right.
Okay, so wait, real quick. Back on your point about the MVP. All the stats, everything. All it is to summarize the win stats. So it's like if I was a running back and I rushed for a bunch of yards but I had no touchdowns, like it's like all that effort is for what?
Yeah, for naught.
Yeah.
Well, it's still a good performance. It's not all about touchdowns, Mike.
Yeah, I know.
So
it's all about winning.
With your friends, right?
The real treasure is the friendships along the way.
Joe Burrow is not having fun with his friends on that team. All right, we got to move on to college football because this was absolutely crazy. That's the hardest thing I've ever had to say. Rivalry week. Edit that out. There we go. Rivalry week was wild. There were brawls and fights all over the place, most notably, of course, with Ohio State versus Michigan, and Michigan upsetting. This was one of the biggest upsets in a long time for Ohio State.
Look, the flag planting isn't anything new. I mean, Baker Mayfield infamously did it while he was at Oklahoma. Who did he do it? was it against Oklahoma State or Texas or I'm forgetting who it was. Or Texas Tech, maybe. Anyway, like this isn't anything new, but it's like, it's pretty egregious and pretty disrespectful of the winning team to go ahead and do this. Like, you already got the W and you did it in their house, and you beat all odds essentially to get this W. So like, the level of disrespect is quite high here. But at the same time, it's like, yo, Ohio State, the old adage is like, yo, if you didn't want them to do that, and yes, they may have overstepped that bound of respect or disrespect, don't let them win. Like, ultimately, don't let them win in your home. Like, that's more embarrassing that you lost, as I think it was like a 13-point, like Michigan was a 13-point dog or something like that.
Right.
And you ended up losing. Like, dude, if you really cared, you would have put everything you had on the field as opposed to everything you had after the game to fight guys with pads and helmets and everything like that.
Yeah.
If you're going to fight on the field in your gameplay and try and get the W.
Dude, yeah. Here, go ahead and throw this up, please, Guy. I found a clip here. So this is happening at the interview after the game, and then the fight breaks out right on live TV right here. Well, that's the thing. Like, we talked earlier about the brawl that broke out in the NFL game with the Jacksonville Jaguars. That was actually admirable on the part of the Jacksonville teammates. This here is whiny, and this is all ego right here from Ohio State reacting this way. Granted, not classy of Michigan, not classy of them. But it happens. It's not like it's unprecedented here. And what do you expect? This is one of the most heated rivalries in the history of college football. These teams hate each other, dude. And Ohio State was talking a lot of shit coming into this. This was a massive win for Michigan on a down year. And of course, something like this is going to happen. I lose a little respect for some of these Ohio State players, notably their senior captain, what is his name? Jack Sawyer, the linebacker. Yeah. Who came in and started to act all tough guy afterward, like, no, dude, they're not planting a damn flag on our 50. No. And he had to get held back. It's like, bro, you played terribly. Like, hold me back. Hold me back. Exactly what it is. And this is like just false, fake confidence or tough guy shit. That Ohio State is flaming up here.
Yeah, it's tough guy stuff through and through. Because that's why I say it's like, it bothers me that dudes react this way post game, and it's like, yes, the Michigan players, like, this is stupid in my opinion. Like, the win is so much bigger than you planting a flag on the O. Like, dude, you have bragging rights for quite some time by the fact that you just knocked them off because you were such dogs. So I'll like hang my hat on that. So like, childish. Michigan players, absolutely childish to do this. But even more childish to react in the way that the Ohio State guys did. It's like, yo, this is where you take the high road. And like, I understand emotions are super high, and like, you don't want to take the moral victory, as Mikey hates. But at the same time, it's like, dude, you need to learn how to lose too. Like, you lost, you got caught with your pants down. Take the L, you have to, and walk off and figure out how to get better, because you're probably going to be in the college football playoff. Don't make yourself look even stupider after a loss. Go in, figure out how to fix your team, and go get W's after. Stop worrying about fighting on the field. Like, what are you going to accomplish? You're going to beat up a Michigan dude?
Yeah.
Cool.
Dude. Also, I mean, that's the thing. That's a great point. It's like, you still all right. They came in ranked number 2, and then they're probably drop, of course, a few spots, but you're still going to be in the college football playoff. You're going to risk getting suspended for these games that are, actually more important than this just rivalry game right here. So it's really short-sighted. It's really stupid. It's very childish on many fronts. I also, Ryan Day, man, Ohio State's head coach. He's had a great record with Ohio State. I think he's 47-1 against Big Ten teams, except for against the most important one, their big rival, Michigan, of whom he's 1-4 against. Check this out, this tweet from a former player who played for Ryan Day. Y'all can say I'm hating or whatever y'all want, but I knew Coach Day was not the answer when we played in the national championship against Bama, and at halftime, he didn't say a word to the team, just went in the office and started to blame other coaches. My sense that I get about this man is that he is not a great emotional leader, and this was put on display here after the game, because of course, to lose a game is one thing, but to have your team react and respond this way, and he was standing right there in the middle of it, and he just watched as his players behaved this way. Whereas there was a similar situation with Steve Sarkisian, Texas head coach against Texas A&M, where Texas went to go plant or do something disrespectful at the 50-yard line, and there's a little bit of a, talking shit back and forth. Sarkisian ran in there as the head coach and broke the whole thing up and stopped it before it happened. Like, that's leadership. Ryan Day, I'm not so sure, man.
Yeah, look, I mean, record aside, losing to Michigan, you're going to get, regardless of how good you are, if you lose to Michigan too frequently, the Ohio State fan base is going to be livid with you. And it's crazy, call it the level of expectation for Ohio State football coaches. Like, if you lose, I think he has fewer than 10 losses in his entire coaching career while at Ohio State, which is wild to say that he's on the hot seat, but he is. Like, he hasn't performed well against the top 5 opponents. I think you mentioned the 1-4 against Michigan. I think it's something similar within the top 5 opponents, but like, nuts to think about that as being the level expectation at Ohio State University. Aside from that, like, the leadership element of this, like, we'll see a little later, because we definitely want to highlight something that actually occurred during this melee that was a silver lining and something that really should be highlighted as opposed to the fighting. So like, that angle, you actually see Ryan Day and what he's probably looking at right here. We're seeing on the other side of his shoulder what he's looking at, and he sees that moment occurring plus the melee happening. But the fact that he wasn't put into action by seeing what was going beyond there is a little odd to me. Like, knowing that you're not in front of your players as opposed to being behind them and then just being, immobile. Like, I don't know what was going through his mind outside of the fact that there were probably a gajillion emotions flooding
that, and the example, that tweet, it's an example of like the emotional leadership. It's the difference between a good head coach and like a good coordinator mind. Like that lack of emotional intelligence, those guys who are super analytical, like, great coordinators, but you can see the gaps when they're in head coaching positions.
That's a good point. I think that emotional intelligence is actually probably one of the most important attributes for a head coach. You can be a kind of an autistic, nerdy coordinator, draw up the X's and O's and get shit done. But if you cannot connect and lead and have the emotional maturity, it's going to be tough to be a head coach. Scott, you touched on it here on the positive thing that went down during this brawl, during this melee. And if you'll show here, players, just as we saw earlier with the Buffalo Bills and the 49ers, coming together afterward to say a prayer together on the field. Guys who just played against each other, opposing teammates join each other for a prayer after the game. This is awesome, because this, like, to me, shows that even when there's chaos around you, even when people around you are making bad choices and not doing the right thing, you still, as an individual, have the power to do the right thing and make a good choice and rise above all of the mud and all of the nonsense that's going on around you. And these young men right here from both Ohio State and Michigan, heated rivals, these teams hate each other, joining each other for something positive while all this chaos is going on around them. This is a beautiful moment, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you said it perfectly right there. It's the ability to recognize, even when shit's hitting the fan around you and everything's in chaos, like, you're still so blessed and in such a privileged position as these guys. Not to say that they didn't work for that privilege and get there by their own merits, but they're in a position that they realize, like, regardless of what occurred and what is occurring on the field right now in the post game, like, they are still giving thanks to something far greater than them, and realizing that they've been blessed with those abilities to even be on the field at that time. So it's cool to see this amidst, like, the chaos and confusing nature, because this is a microcosm of life, right? Even amid crazy times, call it the economy collapsing, wars, so on and so forth, there is beauty in the world, and like, being able to stop and give thanks for that is a huge thing. And I applaud these guys through and through. So being able to bridge the gap too of that rivalry, of that quote hatred or whatever you want to call it, to hold hands with a brother across the field, like that means something.
Yeah, it's especially cool, and it's especially magnified when there's all this nonsense going on around them, and like, these dudes choose to rise above it. I think that's really, really cool. So one of the last things we got to talk about here, the Heisman race. This is wild, man. And I cannot believe that Travis Hunter is currently, after this past week, the favorite to win the Heisman. Let me throw this up here. it's just like, what does Ashton Jeanty have to do to get some damn respect? Currently, updated Heisman odds. Travis Hunter is by far the favorite here. Jeanty is second. Cam Ward, Dylan Gabriel. They're obviously you have to have a couple more, but it's really between Jeanty and Ashton. Travis Hunter. I am just appalled that Hunter is the favorite. Take a look at these stats right here. Just comparing the two. Okay. One moment. Jeanty is essentially first in almost all the categories that a running back can do. Travis Hunter, granted, this is very impressive from Travis Hunter, and this is what we said before, but he is not leading the nation in any category. Now, he is basically an All-American on both sides of the ball, but he's not the best player statistically at either position. What are your thoughts on this? Are we getting a little just biased, or what's going on?
Yeah, this is just jumping on the media hype. Dude, again, I've said this before, can't hold a candle to what Travis Hunter does on the field, like on either side of the ball. This guy is a freak of nature, being able to do what he's doing at such a level as he's doing it. What it boils down to is, like we were talking about the NFL MVP, and if you remove my case, if you remove Ashton Jeanty from Boise State, that team is nothing comparatively to what they are right now with him. So like seeing these numbers, and we're talking about him approaching and potentially breaking Barry Sanders' record, which is like unfathomable. Like being able to reach that and potentially break it is nuts. So it just doesn't make sense to me. There's such a bias toward call it just skill positions, say for the running back these days, because the game is so pass heavy. The game is so focused in the media realm, and it's like building brands, and who's done it better than DeJean and at Colorado for that organization. And I think Travis is just benefiting from what's been built there because of Prime and what he's done for that organization. That's not to take anything away from what he does on the field. The guy's insane. But I don't necessarily think he has the statistics to take home the trophy, the hardware, the Heisman. Like it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, look at this. Also, just a little bit more context on Jeanty's games. Like played in only the first half a couple times. That 200-yard, 3-touchdown performance that was against Oregon, the number one team in the country, because he does get a lot of flack. Oh, they just play in the Mountain West Conference. Yeah. But he's absolutely dominating. And he was even dominant against the best team in the country. And I think they were the number 3 or number 4 defense at the time anyway. And battling through an injury as well. Our brother, Andy, just played against Ashton Jeanty this past weekend. Mike, have you talked to him? Did you ask him like how it was playing against him?
Not really, but he sent me some good clips. He had some good hits on him. He hit him in the backfield, had a tackle for loss on him.
Nice.
Whoa, Andy.
Pretty
Here
good.
you go, Andy.
Bringing honor.
He's just a man.
Family.
He puts his pants on. Just the same as you, Andy.
He can bleed.
I don't know.
What's his injury?
I'm not sure. Something. I mean, something.
Definitely
something
a hamstring. He wasn't doing single legs.
He's Mike. You haven't brought up single.
You know what? I'm gonna DM him and I'm gonna take over his training. You think the Heisman's good? Double it.
Yeah. Double it. I mean, these are just dominant numbers and like historic numbers. It's kind of the same thing that we're talking about in the NFL of the MVP race.
Yeah.
Of look, Saquon Barkley is putting up a historic season. Ashton Jeanty is doing the same thing, a historic season, not just good, but like historical. But because of the devaluation of the running back position over these last 15 years, we are overlooking it. We're getting blinded by the very well done marketing and propaganda of Prime and Colorado. Can I call it that? Can I call it propaganda?
But yeah, I would say so. Blinded by the lights for sure, which are all over Colorado, man. It's nuts. Ashton needs to win this, and I think it'd be good for football in general. Similar to how I'm like somewhat championing Saquon to get the MVP. I think there needs to be a little bit of a shift for one, the culture of football, and two, for the game itself to save the running back position and bring back a little bit more of the running element to the game, which is so influential. And I would put money on it. The best running team will actually win the Super Bowl in the NFL, not the best passing team.
Yes, I'm with you right there on that. So we got to see that. We'll see the pendulum hopefully swing back. Yeah. So we got to touch lastly on this NBA stuff, man. This is a great example here. NBA ratings, of course, are plummeting. why people don't watch the NBA anymore. Just look at just how lackluster and lazy and unmotivated, such low stakes sporting this is, right? It just seems like everybody on the floor does not care, and they're just out there, just lackluster, jogging up and down the court, shooting threes. Nobody's boxing out or rebounding. What do you guys feel about this?
I mean, this might be the most accurate video I've seen in quite some time. Until it gets later in the season, call it February, March, it's just basketball feels like this, and the players almost approach it as such. And that's not to say every team does this. It just seems like more and more are starting to lean into, especially this sort of offensive approach. It's just like, huck up threes. Statistically, it makes most sense. You have a better chance at winning if you just throw them up. But we're seeing like 7-8 threes in a row here that are just bricks. And it's like, yeah, okay, these guys are the best shooters in the world, but this is not fun to watch at all in person or in your home.
This is so boring to watch right now. This is like, it seems like they're in warm-ups or something. Like this is people pay money to go be in the stadium, in the arena for this game.
Well, it just sucks too, because it's coming off the heels of the Olympics basketball, which like I actually got juiced to watch because it felt like there was some drive, some purpose. Like people were all fighting for that medal position. And to lean into the NBA, which is supposed to be the best offering in the world, to see this level of competition is just so frustrating, dude. Like,
check this out. Sorry to interrupt you. This is John Jones talking about basketball players. Hold on.
This is actually a pretty easy answer. What athletes do you think have an overinflated sense of confidence? In what sport?
I'd probably say basketball players.
Why is that?
They say, like, I'm a beast, I'm a savage, I'm a dog. You're dribbling a ball. Stop.
Would you rather? This is actually a pretty easy.
You're dribbling a ball. Stop. Like
that's the perfect summary of all of my emotions towards that attitude in basketball.
You're dribbling a basketball. At least in other sports, there's like physical contact and things that like, you could like protect yourself in life outside of sports, and some of these skills can kind of matter, like if it comes down to it, like I could probably tackle a guy who stole my cell phone. What am I going to dribble a basketball at him and be like, give me my phone back and cross him over? Like
just give him a hard inbounds pass, two-handed.
So it's like
off the easy.
Hey, I was
Nick's favorite move. Backyard.
Yep.
On the cement. Throw it at my head.
NBA Street Volume 2.
Yes. And one mixtape tour, The Professor.
Oh,
my idol.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Oh, yeah. Dude,
love
that Escalade.
That basketball actually is entertaining to watch.
No, look, okay. I love the game of basketball. I think they're incredible athletes, but I do agree with the sort of demeanor that this current age basketball group has is just like a little too inflated. Like they think a little too much of themselves, and it's actually coming out in the style of play, as we were seeing in that clip with even the Lakers, like LeBron and everybody. And like, he's at the cream of the crop or at the top of a pedestal right there. And it's just like, what is going on here? Like, can we just get back to like playing the sport and being aggressive and actually competing, as opposed to just chucking up shots from 40 feet out?
They need to take the passion that rec league players have that go to the local gym after work with knee braces and middle-aged guys who played in high school. Take that passion and combine it with the skill, and I'd watch that all day.
Oh, yeah.
That would be a fun league to watch.
Man. I mean, that's why college basketball is so interesting. Even though you got the NCAA or the portal going wild and everything, and people just hop into different teams, at least you still have people trying to like scrap and fight for wins, and like it actually feels like it means something to them throughout the entire season, not just the end.
The culture of professional NBA basketball right now is just poisoned with these inflated egos, with this lack of urgency, with this very me, like, individualistic personalities. And it's just, it translates in like the viewer, the audience member can feel that. Maybe you can't articulate it very well, or like something's wrong with NBA basketball right now.
Yeah, and you get it in the style of play, like I said, but it's one of those leagues that's turned into a player-driven league, right? They're the ones who demand trades. They're the one who demand max contracts, after they hit that time period that they can get it. So it's just like they're the ones that are in the driver's seat, as opposed to the organizations kind of pulling the strings and playing the chess game that is NBA basketball. It's just and I think that's what you've been talking about for a while with the NIL stuff is like college could fall into that realm where it's player driven and we lose the essence of like the team aspect of things and learning how to fight through adversity because you can just jump ship and get money elsewhere and so on and so forth. So like that's the fear of college basketball and college football and college sports at large, losing that sort of innate competitive spirit within it, because the NBA is definitely a product of that. Like we've lost it. It's very clear with what we just saw right there and what we've been seeing.
Isn't it interesting to see and think about how like, okay, what matters and what makes sports interesting is of course what actually happens on the field or the court or the rink, like the actual sports skills, but then also the culture around it and the culture of the teams and the players around it are almost just as important for how interesting it is for a fan to watch. Like college football, because of all the emotion and the culture around college football, all the fanfare, all of the passion from the alumni, you've got the marching band, all of this stuff goes into play. The football is worse on the field than NFL football, of course. But there are many times where watching a college football game is more exciting than watching an NFL game because of that passion and because of the culture. And it's just, I think it's so interesting to think about that.
It's like in movies where they just rely really heavily on car chases and action and they neglect the story. Give me a good plot. Mix it in there.
Tell me a story. That's
a great analogy.
That's a really good analogy. That's NBA is just car chases in Fast and Furious. Okay.
Michael Bay movies.
Meaning.
Michael Bay. Hey, he's got some good movies though.
Yeah, true. I won't hate on him.
Shout out Transformers 1. Good movie. Shia LaBeouf. Mike, we went a little long today, so I don't think that we're going to be able to do your guitar performance. I know. Sorry to everyone who stuck around to the end because they're waiting for Mikey. You keep practicing, buddy.
I have a gig at the local coffee house next Sunday night, 2 a.m.
Nice.
Be there.
Prime time. There we go. All right. Good stuff, guys. Thanks for watching, and we will see you on Wednesday.
Sounds good. Peace.